Yo, what's up, guys? It's Tuna, Ellie, and Grimro here, back with Blastcast. The first one, I believe, since we started the new league, which is the Arch Nemesis League and the big expansion, Siege of the Atlas. It's pretty good stuff. So, as usual, Grimro is gonna have the sort of a form topic list, and Elesshar and I are just gonna, talk along and basically, yeah.
I guess we'll kick it off. What did you guys play for League Start and how did it go? Because it's been quite a bit of a wild ride, I think, for all of us. You want to go first, Tuna?
Sure. I at least started my Explosive Arrow build. Explosive Arrow Elementalist. Really good. I did a lot of practice with it. I think I even talked about it in the previous Blastcast that I was going to play it. And it went really, really nice. We did all the bosses with a Storm Cloud, basically like sub 1x worth of gear. And so then I just kind of like defaulted back to, what should I do for currency? At the time, we were just like Alkan going and stuff. And we really hadn't actually discovered the juice, like stuff with the Eater World and whatnot. And I was still doing Searing Exarch, testing out this sort of stuff. But anyways, yeah, so I did Expedition because I had that already spec'd into my tree since the start, since I thought Expedition was just going to be good. I did Expedition, Harvest, and then the general juice like Essences, Harveys, that sort of stuff. And yeah, and then I got my Headhunter around the same time you did. So at the end of day 3, you got yours like day 3 and a half. Like, no, sorry, they like at mid day 3. So yeah, we got it about the same time. I got it after you. And yeah, I mean, since then, I then re-rolled twice, but mainly just because of like wanting to play stuff. So yeah, that was my league start, pretty much summed up. What about you,
Ellie?
I league started EA Ballista as well. The clear is really good. Atlas progression is super smooth. The only problem is like leveling, but not really, because the Armageddon brand just carries it. At the start, you have to like pass through all attributes until the bottom of the tree from the start on the top, which is Elementalist. But it's not that big of a deal. It's like really good. The whole Atlas is like super easy. It's like a breeze. You just kill everything like extremely easily. You can just do all content on a Storm Cloud. I did pretty much everything. But the last 6 invitation with a Storm Cloud, but that time I had like a +3 bow, which is really easy to craft. And after that, I farmed my Headhunter in Expedition as well. I was doing Expedition. I did it last league. The league before is like so good. It's like 4x an hour or something. On day 2, I did some experimenting with Maven Orbs and stuff. And let's say I got unlucky on every 50-50 possible. So I got my Headhunter like a half a day later from you guys because I just wasted like 15x in Maven Orbs.
Washed up.
But yeah, after that, like I just farmed Expedition, made a bunch of money. Logbooks sell like hotcakes on TFT.
You sold them on TFT?
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
They sell in bulk super fast.
Oh, I was never
really
bulking.
good.
I just sold them for like whatever 50C, just off.
Yeah, I was selling in 50C in bulk. Like you post 1 second, just sell the whole stock.
Damn. Okay.
I was selling like 15x or something a day of logbooks, just logbooks alone.
Yeah,
and then you can do ROG for money. Early league elemental claws were so expensive. I got one kind of good fizz claw and like random boots and stuff like that sell for like a lot of money. Gwennen is kind of useless. She never gives me anything.
Yeah.
Tuzen is really consistent money. And I was corrupting every possible essence. Essences are crazy money, even early league. I still do essences now. They're really good. And after I got my Headhunter, I made a bow build with Omniscience. Omniscience is like the best thing to ever happen this league. I love that amulet. I got like 161 pen on like scuffed gear. My gear's not even finished.
We'll get to Omniscience.
Yeah, we'll get to Omniscience later. And yeah, I'm just blasting cemeteries now with my bow build and Headhunter. I dropped 5 brother stashes in 3 days, but that's not even like the book of the money. The book of the money, I'm just doing like super lazy strat with Legion, Breach, which are 1C each, and then I just do Beyond every map, which is 5C. So like total, I'm spending about 7 kills per map. And the last 2 scarabs, I just put whatever I have in my stash tab that I dropped from sustaining from the Eater of Worlds, and I pretty much self-sustain, and it's so easy and so straightforward. I don't have to trade almost anything. At the end of the day, I just sell everything that I farm during the day. I made like 50, 70x a day pretty easily with just chilling and talking to chat while I stream and stuff like that. It's like really low effort.
We'll have to break that down a little more later, Ellie, when we get into the Atlas stuff. But yeah, I guess I'll just quickly go. I'm sure everyone already knows on my channel who has been tuning in, but for everyone on stream. So I started corrupting Fever, Gladiator. So unlike these guys, I played the Mappa variant, which was okay. And I did not do Expedition for my currency. I actually just farmed Eater of Worlds. I was on the hype train early on that one, which was pretty cool. And Scarabs were very expensive early, so you could definitely sell a lot of the stuff for a lot of money. And even the lesser Ikes on like day 1, 2, and 3 were worth 2C, and the even higher ones were worth even more than that. So it was definitely a quick ticket to victory. And also, Arch Nemesis is pretty good for money as well if you kind of make that a little bit efficient as well. So yeah, not too bad. Everyone had their own approach here. These guys obviously took advantage of Expedition. But moving forward, let's talk a little bit about what you guys are playing now, namely all about Omniscience. Now, I'm going to start off here. I'm still on Corrupting Fever, but I've transitioned it off of wands, and I'm playing bows now, which is reasonably similar to what I was doing lastly, but I'm using a ton of Eldritch gear, which I'm sure we'll talk a lot about later. But you guys are doing something completely new, using the new unique amulet off of Syriaxarch, the Omniscience amulet. Tell us all about how that amulet works and how maybe some of the things you guys are doing are pretty interesting, and also how they vary, because you guys have got 2 different approaches to the same build.
I think just to boil it down to something super simple, the amulet is sort of like you stack stats, and every 10 stats, like every 10 attributes, no matter what it is. So even if it's 10 attributes, it's just 10, right? But every 10 stats, you get 1% all res and 1% penetration. And so you can get like, 1,000 stats. It can be like strength, it could be int, it could be anything. And then on top of that, you can also get percent attributes, right? And percent attributes just becomes like generic. Just all of your stats and everything, all of those modifiers just become percent. Just becomes omniscience, right? So basically all you're doing is just stacking that as high as you can, so you don't have to get any sort of resistance on your gear whatsoever. All you have to do is just get attribute suffixes, which is actually quite easy in some regards, because you don't really have to attributes are generally like very easy to roll. It's something that you would block if you were to slam, right? So yeah, I mean, you just roll with an essence, you get attributes instead of resistance. That's all you're doing. You're just swapping out for attributes instead of resistance. And the amulet gives you an insane amount of penetration. As Elesshar said, he got like 160 pen. You can have various degrees of it, how much pen you want to have, or how much whatever you want to have. It's totally up to you, but I think there's going to be like a sweet spot that we find where other things start becoming better. But basically, the amulet is a little bit crazy. As crazy as we thought. I don't know if we talked about it in the previous Blastcast, but I remember I distinctively talked about this amulet when it was announced. It seemed kind of crazy. Everyone agreed, but it's like cheap. So I don't know whether that's a product of it being extremely common, or whether people just don't care, or whether it's, I don't know, whether it's gonna be expensive later. Because I remember when Badge of the Brotherhood was first introduced, it was like 5C unique, so. And then it went up, obviously, but we'll have to see about that one.
So you guys are both playing what exactly with the Omniscience amulet?
Well, I'm playing a Lightning Arrow, and Elesshar can explain what he's doing.
I'm playing Lightning Arrow, but I'm playing on a Raider. I'm stacking 2 arrows on bow, 2 on quiver, 2 on my Atlas by using the Dead Eye passives, like the new jewels that makes you can basically get one ascendancy node from another ascendancy. And I get from Raider, I get basically like the normal Raider stuff. You get like frenzy charges. I'm stacking all the frenzy charges in the tree. I'm going for 2 frenzy charge rings, and I have 9 base arrow at pretty much all times, because 2 from Dying Sun as well. So on my main skill, I can pretty much stack all more multipliers. You don't need GMP, you don't need chain. I'm just using 1 Awakened Fork for clear. On Lightning Arrow, it feels really well, really good. It has some problem on single targets, so I'm using a Artillery Ballista. You can use any skill that you want, really. You can use Tornado Shot, Ice Shot, Lightning Arrow. It's kind of up to you what you want to use. But just for a mapping character, you can just play whatever. It's gonna be fine. the single target is good enough just with the ballistas. If you want to do bosses, you're probably going to want to go Tornado Shot. It has higher single target potential. And Omniscience is basically giving me like 160 pen, as I said. You're getting attributes on all the suffixes. And the problem with Omniscience is that it makes your base stats not give anything. So the Dex doesn't give you any accuracy. The Int doesn't give you any flat mana. So instead of taking like the wheel at the top right of Ranger and converting all the claw and dagger nodes to crit multi and crit sense and stuff like that, I'm using an inspired a natural instinct, and I'm taking all the big wheel, like there's like a circle on the top right that gives you mana, life, it gives you some life gain on kill. So all the stats that you're missing, like life, accuracy, it gives you accuracy, crit, like you're missing a lot of base stats that you can get either on gear or on tree. So you have to kind of make up for that. The mana is kind of an issue. So I took the flask and mana nodes at the start of Ranger, the flask effect and mana and attributes.
Yeah. It's funny that we have a different experience with the amulet as well. Like, cause you're finding like these issues where I found that like getting the accuracy was actually really, really easy. The thing that I found really sad, like, or not sad, but like the main annoyance with it is that I lose, because like what would you be at usually, like 300%, 300 dexterity, which is 300% increased evasion, right? That's insane, because that's like global evasion, so everything is scaled up by 300%. Instead of having like 7k, you'd be having like 21 plus k, right? Which kind of sucks. But the accuracy felt like quite okay. And in regards to like not using the line eyes, I'm using the line eyes, and I think it's still absolutely insane because of the masteries that you get from there. So getting like the life gain on hit and whatnot. And yeah, the difference between Ellie and I is that I decided to go for Deadeye, but we're going to go into this later. It's because of the new Eldritch gear allowing us to sort of fill the gaps that many ascendancies lacked in the past. In my opinion, for example, Deadeye was just not good because it couldn't get ailment avoidance. It was having a really hard time with spells as well. So as you can see, like most Deadeye builds on PoE Ninja would be like 2k live. They completely forego any form of defense, and in my opinion are completely just absolutely miserable to play. And it's not the way we should be going forward with builds. That's kind of like Cast on Death Portal meta in softcore, I think, is like the plague of many people's enjoyment, and it's just not good. It shouldn't be a thing anymore. And I would really like to sort of like motivate people to like make a good build. Rather, it's not even that much more expensive, and it's so much more comfortable. You don't need millions and millions and millions of damage. You get to a point, it feels good.
You said that it's hard to get defenses, right? But this is the tankiest build I've ever played on a bulk build. I checked in game right now. I have 23k evasion and 31k armor.
You misunderstood. I was talking about previous leagues where that I couldn't get.
No. Yeah. But you said that with Omniscience, you lose the evasion, right? But I'm running Grace, Determination, Defiance Banner, which is crazy. If you run that combo, you're actually tanky. Like, you're so tanky.
But imagine if you had 300% increased evasion on top of that.
I know. It would be even tankier, but yeah.
Flat life from
it's
strength.
Still like,
do you know what I mean?
You can still fix it. With the new gear, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like, it's why we're using it. It's because it's still really, really good, right? But at the same time, you'd obviously be a lot tankier without it.
100%.
Oh, a huge part that we didn't talk about. It makes your stat requirement not. You basically don't need stat requirements because Omniscience scales everything. So it makes you able to use stuff like Determination really easily. You can use, if you want, Wrath or like other auras that you wouldn't use or otherwise use if you're scaling like lightning damage and stuff like that. So like you can pretty much use any support gem that you want and any items on your build that usually you couldn't use. So it makes for like so much build variety. You can just slap any support gem. Usually you don't have like 118 to use a gem or like 160. And now you just can. You can use anything. It's so good.
Be mindful though, the roll on the amulet is really important if people are going out to buy it now. Elesshar can use everything because he has really a lot of it. But for example, you need at the very minimum 800 Omniscience with a max roll 25% to be able to use like a bow, for example, right? But once you can use that, you can use anything. So be mindful because you can't just slap it on a build if you don't have attributes.
You need to build around it.
Particularly important if you're buying a corrupted one as well,
yes.
which a lot of people probably will be doing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of talking about Omniscience here. It's clear to know that this is pretty much like it's like the new Indigon, right? It's the new toy. Everyone's like, whoa, but I think it's like on another power level, right? I've kind of compared it to like Mage Blood, kind of build around that powerful kind of a an item, which I think a lot of people are using it for that kind of a purpose as well. But one thing that has popped up a bit here in discussions is the new Forbidden Flesh and Flame. I think there's quite a lot of interesting stuff we can talk about here. So I'll go first. I think everyone here is using a set of these. It's basically the new Watcher's Eye. You're going to want one of these on every build. So I'm using Inspirational, which gives me 30% increased aura effect and makes my banners free. I was also considering going for Fortified, but we play on softcore here, not hardcore, so none of that. But that's just general damage. It's pretty good. Fixes my build's auras up. But you guys have a lot more interesting ones going on, don't you? I think Tuna, yours specifically is quite unique. We heard a little bit about Eleshar's though, so I'll let you go first, Ellie, because you said that was the main reason you went Raider.
On Raider you don't usually get arrows, right? And on bow builds you really want arrows, and so I just went for the data plus 2 arrows. I don't get the chain, so I fixed that problem with Awaken Fork instead. But if I want to go Tornado Shot, I'm probably gonna go Awaken Chain instead, because on Tornado Shot you really need the chain. But on Lightning Arrow, since the mechanic of Lightning Arrow is already good enough with the enchant that it's additional enemies, I don't think I need chain. With Awaken Fork, the clear fee is already pretty amazing. And yeah, I just stack arrows, so on my main links I can just use all more multipliers. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's pretty impressive when you see the Legion. It's like I actually kind of got a little bit of it with KB, but I imagine it's even better with LA. You just like literally like the arrows we're talking here. The cone is like a full 180. That's how many arrows you're firing. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, definitely very strong.
Yeah, I went a different route. So for me, it was quite obvious that when I saw all the implicits on the Eldritch gear, that pretty much gave me the Raider ascendancy. I've always been a Raider fanboy. Always, like, everyone sort of knows me for having had like 4 Raider builds every league ever since, I don't know, like maybe ever since 315, right? Anyways, I've always loved Raider because it fills the gaps that you usually have a lot of difficulty crafting, because for example suppression is extremely hard to get. Like, it's such a rare stat. Ailment avoidance is like, it was explicitly only for shaper influence and unveil on a chest, and chests were really hard to make because you needed, I don't know, some crazy stuff like crit suffixes, or you needed a +1 curse and all that sort of stuff. Now with Eldritch gear you can actually just make good stuff. Right, you can just make good stuff because of being able to manipulate the prefix or suffix, also having a really good implicit, so you get like pretty much 7 mod items that are just really good. I cover my ailment avoidance on my boots. I get like 70% there or something. Wait, no, it's 50%. And then I get like 25% on my chest. So, and then we get like 20% on the tree, and we're pretty much already there. That's ailment avoidance covered. Suppression as well. 1 cluster on the tree, suppression on suffixes. It's done. So in that regard, now that you have all these things that Raider usually is really good at, what I thought is, how about I go for Deadeye instead, which you get all the quality of life of not needing to get like chain and all that sort of stuff, and the arrows and all this good stuff. Yeah, it has all the stuff that Raider has, and then now it has Omniscience, so the damage is like completely ridiculous. And it also has the capability of getting the Forbidden Jewel, which is the last thing, which I'm using a Forbidden Jewel Master Surgeon from Pathfinder, and I've rolled flasks with the Flagellant mod, which gain 7 charges when I'm hit by an enemy, and you can scale that with flash charges gained. So basically every time I'm being hit, I'm recovering 6% of my life, and my flask is just ping-ponging, so I'm permanently just full life. More monsters hit me, the more damage I recover. So my build is like really, as long as it's like hits that are not my entire life pool, like as long as the hits are like less than 6% and I reduce them less than 6%, I'm just never dying. So
do you want to give us some examples, like maybe like some serious examples? I remember watching a clip.
Right, so like if you're playing Cirrus, for example, like the little geysers on the floor, which basically like usually like one-shot you, right? Or not one-shot you, but they're like many little small hits. Like you actually use those to heal. So like if your life is low, you run into the little geyser and then you're healing. Or like the beam as well, the die beam, that just heals you, right? Because there's many small hits. It's like like 12 hits or something. So yeah, you basically just use those mechanics to like literally just heal you. And for example, if like someone links me something in chat and I'm doing like a alva or something, I could just like click the link, open the thing, look at it while there's like 3 packs of mobs hitting me. And as long as there's not like minus max or something, my character just doesn't care, right? So but there are situations where you obviously can die. So like if you get like a big fizz hit or something like that, you're still very susceptible to getting one shot. So it's not like you're just immune, but it is very, very good, right?
It's pretty good, yeah. I'm definitely looking at that myself,
Yeah.
but also the arrows are pretty appealing too, which Ellie's got going on. So there's definitely some very, very powerful things you can do. If you weren't playing Ranger, both of you, what other kind of combo would you be looking at to kind of really take advantage of in the future, maybe? So for me, it would probably be the Occultist, Profane Bloom plus Shaper of Flames. That's what I would be looking to do. You guys can say that one too, but I think that's probably one of the most powerful ones. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, mainly Shaper of Flame for the Chaos Ring. That would have been cool if as an Occultist. That was my main one. Go on, Ellie, though. Sorry for interrupting.
I would probably play something like the Trickster one on an Assassin and like stack like 14 power charges and they convert it also to frenzies. Like it's like power stacking on crack this league, I think, because you can get 2 on helmet if you corrupt an helmet with influence, and you get 2, and then you get 2 on void batteries, 2 on 3 because of the new dual. You can get like 14, I think. 2 on rings. It's kind of crazy.
That is a lot of shots. That's more than we've ever actually been able to get, right? Because you can steal one from Trickster.
Yeah,
that's insane. There's definitely a lot of stuff that is on the table here for the new league, and I think a lot of people are trying out a lot of really crazy stuff. I mean, there's even the Ashes of the Stars amulet, which is the brother to Omniscience, which we probably don't have too much time to talk about here because we've got plenty of other stuff to cover. But Tuna led us on pretty well. Let's talk about Eldritch crafting, because I think all 3 of us are massive fans of Eldritch crafting. So initially, when the expansion came out, you know, I was in a call with Tuna and we were like, man, these mods suck. And, you know, a lot of other people were saying
you were
they
saying
suck
that
as well. I
was saying their
they
build
look like they suck.
You were saying, I was saying these are good. I was literally convincing you that they were good. At least trying.
Yeah.
I was convincing you they were good. That you were like, they're good copium. They're good.
But we say that about everything when you say stuff.
You remember?
I don't know. To me, at least, they looked pretty bad compared to influence modifiers. Like, you know, okay, so you've got the Syrian Exarch mod, which is 20% increased aura effect. Well, the Redeemer mod is just 30%. So it's like, But obviously, that was just the beginning. And once you actually get into crafting the items and you actually get engaged in the system, it's fairly clear that it's very, very easy to get, you know, 8 mod items. Straight up 8 mod items. Most of the modifiers tier 1. It's very, very easy, which, you know, puts it at a much higher level than the Conqueror items, with the only downside being that you lose some niche applications like the power charges and stuff like that Ellie was talking about. And you lose some access to a lot of the offensive mods that Conquerors have. But talking strictly defense and flexibility, I think Eldritch is pretty much unbeatable by Conqueror items. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more well-rounded items. You get some offense and a lot of defense. While on influenced items, you kind of have to pick and choose. You usually go a lot of offense and not much defense at all. I think that you probably go with a mixed match of both some influence and some Eldritch items, right? At least that's what I'm doing.
I think it really depends on the build.
Yeah. For me, it's mainly just like the places where you can't get the Eldritch influence, like amulets, weapons, and stuff like that. Then I would say that's a good place for it. But I mean, because you say it is like less damage, but being able to get like 47% effective auras on your chest is like that's a lot of damage. Especially if you have like
example,
2 offensive auras or something, like you have 20% general and then like 30% of your favorite aura. Like with hatred, that's crazy. That's insane. That's like
yeah, it's really good.
It's insane. And then you get to have like an actual good item. So yeah.
If you go into really endgame though, you can, like, for example, I'm going for elevated tailwind elusive onslaught boots, right? It's kind of hard to beat even with the new stuff. And also something else I'm planning to do super later on is 2 frenzy gloves. So getting a 1 frenzy and then corrupting them to get another frenzy.
True.
You can't really do that on the new influence. But yeah, you can get really good gloves. It depends on the build that you're playing. For example, if you're playing lightning strike, you can get pierce and 2 strikes on the new gloves, right? For really easily. It's like depending on the build you're playing, you have to like change the items. It adds like to the mod pool so many mods that I think increase build diversity. You can build you can make your build way different and more customized, like you want it to. I think it's really good.
I think for me at least, as a player who doesn't play a build who scales crit or anything like that or charges, I actually didn't really have many influence modifiers that helped my build in the previous league, so it's kind of like whatever. But then now all the new Eldritch items are like completely out of their mind, and now my build feels like it's just like juiced up to the max. And I think a lot of builds are in that position as well. Like, you know, a lot of the damage over time builds, you know, some of the attribute stackers as well, they didn't really have access to too many influence modifiers, which are really crazy. A lot of those builds have just gotten like way buffed and have way more options open to them now because of Eldritch. And more specifically, Omniscience builds. You know, those builds, they don't really need more damage. They just need their attributes and their defense.
There's something that I think that I'd like to point out as well is that they really gave power to items back again with this too.
Yep.
Because of just, even if you drop an item or like, you know, maybe you might not be picking up rares or whatever, but even if you like rog something, you work on the suffixes and you have good suffixes and you're like, this is a good item, right? It's really good even if it has 3 finished suffixes, because you know if you put an ichor, you can modify the prefixes freely and you can just do whatever you want to it, right? You know you can get life just with a few like of the chaos orbs or an old exalts, whatever. And then you just roll the ichors, which, yes, they're expensive, but they're not that expensive in comparison to something like Grimro the other day. I was crafting and I was like, oh man, essences are expensive, and he like slapped me with the, yeah, but you just bought like 100 of them. That's like 1 Maven orb. What are you doing? Like, why are you even complaining? And you know, with 1 Maven orb, it's like you have a 50-50, and then you have the Awakener orb, and you're left with like T12 stunning block recovery and absolute garbage like life. Like, and you're just there like dejected for the rest of the league. Like, yeah. So
I think this is a huge good step towards more deterministic crafting, and it feels intuitive. Like, it's not like Maven or being Awaken or being stuff like that. It's like really straightforward and intuitive, I feel like. Instead of crafting a 6 mod item, you're crafting 3 at a time.
Yeah,
and then you can always improve your implicits later on, unless you want to go for like level 6 and 4, and then you have to craft differently. But yeah, if you just want a good item, the crafting process is really straightforward and it's accessible to everyone. And you can just do it like while playing the game. You actually drop the items, which is exciting.
I like it.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about it is obviously like the ability to manipulate the items how you want. Actually, there's a few things that I'm really enjoying. The main thing is that there's actually save states in creating the item. So you work on the implicits. Okay, you got them done. That's that gate cleared. You can't destroy them or anything like that. And then you work on the suffixes. Okay, if you get them done, that's another one cleared. And then finally you do the prefixes or, you know, whatever you're doing. And then boom, the item is done. Like, it's not like time for a 50-50, and if I lose, my item is destroyed, you know, which is what we're used to with influence gear. Ellie, I'm sure you can comment on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's great. And the other thing I really like is that it uses all of the current crafting systems, whereas influence did not. So essences suddenly are now the best way to craft gear in the game because, you know, Eldritch exists.
Fossils are really strong too.
Yeah, fossils as well, especially like with hollow fossils if your build has the spare sockets. It's crazy how awesome it is and works well with the current crafting systems.
And so also it improves. Sorry if I cut you. It improves other mechanics like Delve. Before, like for example, if you get a +1 scepter, +1 spectre chest, you couldn't really upgrade it easily. Or like the Temple mods, right? now you can actually like build on them and make an actual good item. And it basically improved every other mechanic across the board. It just improves like everything that was old, and it like revitalized all the old mechanics. I think it's like one of the best things that ever happened to crafting in PoE.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just improved everything across the board.
Yeah, it's so good.
Also fractured.
Yeah, you can manipulate fractured items. It's pretty crazy. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the actual like build or niche modifiers which are exclusive to Eldritch, because I think there are a few which are being a little bit slept on right now, and people aren't super aware of just how powerful they are. So I'm going to point out one of them. I know that you guys probably have a few others. The one that I want to point out is Rage on Hit on the gloves. So I wasn't actually aware of this. But just having Rage, like full Rage, actually gives you, I believe, 10% movement speed and 20% increased attack speed. So your Rage doesn't deplete over time; it just stays at full if you gain it. So after like gaining your Rage and having a full Rage bar, you just get 10% movement speed and 20% attack speed, which is insane. That's like 6 or 7 points on the tree of attack speed just
That's
from
really good.
one implicit on your gloves. So that's crazy to me. That's the one I'll point out. I know that there's a few others on gloves, which I'm sure you guys have probably got in your mind as well.
There's
but I'll hand
also-
it to you.
Sorry, there's also other ways to scale the raids. You can get maximum raids, right? There's other ways. I think there's belts and stuff like that that give you the maximum amount of raids increased. So as long as you have generation, you can actually like stack it even though you're not berserker, which is really nice.
Oh damn! So you can get higher increased rage, so like 100 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think then we're getting into like some kind of weird stuff, but yeah, that's doable.
Yeah.
The max rage, yeah, but you don't use berserking, right?
True.
You're mainly just using this for to have the rage, just sitting there, draw out the map for 10% movement speed and attack speed.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Is there any other notable things where you're like, that could be pretty damn good on the Eldritch implicits?
me?
The prolifs, ignite, shock, and freeze prolifs are kind of crazy. Especially the shock. We can get easily freeze and ignite prolif, right?
Yeah.
On the jam or the cluster jewel, but to get shock prolif, we were stuck with the synthesized gloves. So now we can actually
exactly.
have it.
Impulse
go on,
is like super cool. No, I was gonna say like the same thing. The prolif is for me the most standout thing on gloves for sure. They prolif and rage, and then the other ones are just like nice, right? They're just nice to have, like intimidate and whatever, like unnerve. That's cool as well. But I think the most standout ones are shock and chill prolif, because there was no other way to actually do that ever, aside for blast freeze, which is a cluster, right? Large cluster cold. And for shock prolif, there was no way aside for storm's gifts, which is the synth gloves. So it's huge. Also +1 strike, that's true. Getting pierce as well is pretty nice for builds that need it.
I think you were also talking about the power and the frenzy charges on the chest. Do you reckon that's like actually usable, or is that like, okay, just use the ferals?
Well, no, it's like I always thought ferals was bad, right? But I think now if you use a feral, you're especially a little bit like, why don't you just look at the mods? Because your frenzy charges last 11 seconds with dark rays if you're taking them, right? And then you can upgrade the mod to sustain your frenzy charges. Why would you ever use ferals? Makes no sense.
Because you get like an 8 mod chest.
Yeah.
And one of the mods is
Instead of like a
frenzies.
2 mod, right? Aspect of the Cat is not that good.
It's definitely pretty strong, actually, very powerful, and you can get something else like an aura mod or something like that.
Yeah, it's not about So FSG just mentioned in the chat, it takes a minute to get full charges. You don't just AFK. You hit something, you get charges, and then you have them forever. Right?
Yeah, like on a boss or something.
Yeah, so like you just have to ramp up once for the entire boss fight. So that's it.
And then there's also the new mark. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that's something I don't think people are fully realizing is in the game right now. You can get frenzy charges like that.
Oh,
one there.
right, yeah. So I'm using a cluster on the tree, which was introduced this league because they, I don't actually know the reasoning why they introduced this, but they wanted to give more frenzy generation to people. So there's a new mastery for marks, which gives you 10% chance to gain a frenzy charge when you hit a marked enemy, right? So this is also a reason why I decided to go for Deadeye. Deadeye always had issues with generating frenzy charges. Blood Rage was the only way, or I think Divergent Blood Rage or whatever it is, alt quality would give
Or
you
frenzy chest as well.
would give you a
but that was
2%.
hard.
or frenzy chest, yeah. So you'd have to sacrifice the chest or whatever. But now we're able to actually be, we're actually able to get frenzy on Deadeye for all the time without even having to use Blood Rage. And you know the mark node has really good synergy with Deadeye as well, and it can be used with, well, it has really good synergy with any attack builds for that matter, because you know it gives you like it gives good damage, and it gives Culling Strike as well. So it's just a really good cluster to get. So for 4 points you just get like 30%, sorry, 10% chance to gain frenzy charge and like 15% damage.
And are you using the new support gem, which allows you to just mark everything, or is this just something you've got in like your assets or something?
This is something that I will use or plan to use, but for the time being, I'm using Aston. Yeah.
I'm already using the mark, because I'm planning on making a helmet. We were talking about good mods, right, on new influence, and to go back to the topic, we can get a lot of reservation on helmet. We can get it on the implicit, and we can get it on a suffix, which is really crazy. You can probably run like 1 or 2 extra auras just because you can get like 26% reservation on helmet while still getting like other 5 good mods and another implicit. So I think that the helmet craft is really powerful. And also the increased action speed on boots is also really strong. It's like a mini tailwind.
I think it's part of the reason why I don't understand why you're still trying to go for these boots. Where with the old influence, like I get that onslaught is good, and I get elusive is also good, but you get like actual real true boots. You know,
I do get real boots though.
I suppose
I bought the base for 50x so that I can get real boots.
Right.
I think if you're looking at the actual price range, though, there's no competition, right? Like, for the bang for the buck, the Eldritch is better. But you know, if you're going,
Eldritch, yes,
big.
yeah, like the floor for Eldritch is so high, but I think that if you like actually really max, eventually, like influence items are like a little better. Not in every slot because you still need defenses, but in like really specific slots. For your build, like niche parts, I think it's better to go influence.
But take this, right? Like, so, just imagine this. My boots will have 6% action speed, which is 2% less than non-elevated. And then it will have, how much avoidance we get on it? 57 ailment avoidance. Which elevated ailment avoidance is like 35, I think.
57, yeah. 57 avoid ailments, yep.
I'm not sure exactly how much the elevated ailment avoidance is on suffix.
It's not even a discussion because you have to be shaper to get that.
Yeah, so you can't even get...
No one goes shaper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So where am I gonna get this? Because you cannot get it on gloves, right?
Yeah, that's why I went Raider. You get a lot of ailment avoidance for free. That's why I went Raider.
But like I'm also... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Like your build is better to go for your boots because you already have Tailwind, right? And you can get Onslaught all the ways. On Raider, I'm just getting Tailwind, I don't have it. Elusive, I don't have it. So I kind of want them on the boots. I can't really get it anywhere else. And the Tailwind with effect is better than the implicit on the new boots. That's kind of why. Yeah. Like, you get other stuff on your build, so you have to like itemize that differently. That's why he said that, like, depending on your build, like your whole build, like your whole items change like a lot. It added like a new layer of gear that you can use, which is like really good. You can min-max your character like way more depending on like what you take and stuff like that.
Yeah, true. Definitely true. Cool part about it.
I do think it's an interesting discussion though, because I think we're almost into the new era, as Tuna is alluding to earlier on in the podcast. It's kind of like the tank meta. Ever since Scourge League, which was last league, where they buffed defenses and it's now like, okay, you can actually get defenses. And then they've come along now and they've added stuff like Eldritch altars, along with new map modifiers and all sorts of stuff like that. You know, becoming ailment immune is almost like a necessity these days. Like, you click one altar and suddenly it's like all monsters shock. It's like, ooh, you know, it's bad news. And you just get one shot out of nowhere. So I think, you know, piecing together the puzzle of 100% ailment avoidance or getting 100% spell suppression is suddenly becoming a necessity on a lot of builds to make them really truly tanky and feel really good. So I think Eldritch actually does solve that for a lot of builds. And just to kind of give you guys like my example of Eldritch solving all my problems, just with the boots, which is 57%, and a chest, which has the avoid ailments from Ashling, you can just anoint Crystal Skin, and that's 100% ailment avoid on any build. So just 2 items and an anoint, and you're pretty much straight up immune, and you're cruising. So yeah, I think it's pretty damn OP.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I really like it. It's so good. What can I say?
I definitely think that there is space for the Conqueror side of things as well, though, as Elesshar was saying, in the very high end of things. But yeah, definitely no doubt, lots of more flexibility. But I think, okay, we'll move on to the endgame mapping. So you guys are making these insane builds. We're getting this defense, but why are we getting it? Well, the content is getting harder. Obviously, there's new stuff in the endgame. Maybe the endgame bosses aren't very hard. Okay, let's forget about them for now. But the actual mapping, baseline juice is at all-time highs. How are you guys enjoying the new Eldritch influence in your maps? Do you reckon it's a little bit too much?
No, of course not. We need more. It's not enough, dude. Hello, GGG. My maps are empty. Are they gone?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the base amount of juice, man. You can get so many scarabs. It's insane. You almost self-sustain scarabs. If you're not using 4 scarabs every map, I think you're trolling this league. Whatever you drop, just use it. Unless it's like really expensive and you're not using it efficiently. If you have the nodes for those points, you should be using it. It's so much money return on investment. Let's do an example. I'm doing Breach and Legion and Beyond, right? 5 kills for Beyond, 1C for Legion, 1C for Breach. Even Rusted or like Polished, it's like 1C. They're really, really cheap. And just from Legion, you drop like 35 chaos or like 20, 30 chaos worth of emblems on average, like each map, I think. Like sometimes you drop multiple emblems, like if you get lucky. It's kind of crazy. Like you don't drop them every map, but at least like 10C worth of stuff from a Legion, you always get it. Breach is kind of the same. Just the amount of mobs that you get on the map. If you have a headhunter and you can clear it fast, I think it's worth it.
One sec.
Like the scarabs are so cheap, man.
Okay, go on. Sorry, I don't know why my overlay is bugged, but redeem went through.
Oh no.
Okay, they'll go on.
Yeah, you just buy like the cheap scarabs and you put the points in your tree. You don't have to trade much. You do like 1 trading session a day at the start when you start playing, and at the end to sell. You spend like to start like what 200 chaos for like 200 scarabs, 1 each, and then you just map all day, and everything that you do is profit. Like you don't have to think about anything. You can just blast maps, like brain dead. Just play, just farm the map. You don't have to think. You don't have to do anything. You just do the league mechanic. You chug the stuff in, and you just farm mobs, dude. It's so easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the economy is kind of like in this new weird place because you get literally hundreds of scarabs from the new Eldritch influence and the altars. Everything is just dirt cheap. So literally, it's kind of like, yeah, as you said, if you're not using 4 scarabs or 3 scarabs, if you haven't got the full map device unlocked, you're kind of trolling at that point because everything is going to make more money than it costs to actually run the scarab. Like Legion scarabs for 1C, like it's unprecedented. It's never been that cheap, and yeah, you can absolutely go in and pull 10C worth of stuff out of a Legion, which costs you 1C. It's absolutely 100% viable. But I think, like, on the topic of altars, have you found anything particularly powerful? Are you actually like abusing the altar tech, where you take all of the pack size nodes and then also take the Eater of Worlds? Are you doing that, Ellie, or are you not on the altar tech?
Yes, I do take all the. I've been doing it like since kind of early. I took all the right side and the left side. So all the pack size nodes, you take them. It's like 5 nodes on the right and 4 on the left, and then you take the 3 on the top right for the Eater of Worlds. So it's not many points, and you get like the full value. It's really good, especially since I'm going to Beyond. I'm already on the left side to take the Beyond, so those are on the way, and I take them. They're really good.
Yeah, 100%. It's actually crazy. Is Tuna still having trouble with the overlay?
No. It was only once, like a Bing chilling went through. So
Bing chilling.
It's not supposed to go. I don't understand. I disabled the points. So
for running like the Eater of Worlds, there's different strategies. You can go for like the currency at the boss at the end if you want, but that's not really recommended. Usually you just rush the boss so that you take the mods off of the pool, because there's like some mods that like only apply to the boss, but if you already killed the boss, those mods cannot spawn anymore on your altars. So if you do a map that has a boss that you can kill at the start, like for example City Square, you can remove a lot of the bad mods from the pool, and you can just get as many scarab percent or like quantity, rarity. You can get map duplication. Map duplication is really strong, especially since if you favorite a good map, they sell in bulk for 5-6 chaos. So dropping a lot of maps is a lot of profit too.
There's the Grimro tax. Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty insane. It's actually completely insane. It does open up an interesting question there, because obviously we were just talking about how powerful Eldritch crafting is, and one of the big bottlenecks of Eldritch crafting is trying to, on the last step, finish off either your prefixes or suffixes, depending on which influence is dominant. Now, that requires Eldritch Chaos Orbs, Exalted, or Anomalous Orbs. Now, as more people, get into the end game and get really stuck into their own crafting, is there a world you think where it's like, okay, suddenly maybe the boss rush is actually not what you want, where these Chaos Orbs are becoming so expensive where it's like, okay, hold on, I actually need those. And you kind of go back around the other way and you want to clear the whole map before doing the boss. Do you reckon?
The thing is that not in every map you can actually rush the boss efficiently, right? So I think that a lot of people will just do the map normally and kill the boss at the end. For example, let's say you're doing port. There is no world where you just rush to the boss and then come back.
Yeah, that's a bad
It's
example.
impossible. You're not doing that. But like really long maps like that, like people that run Delirium cannot do that, right?
Yeah.
You don't rush to the boss, come back to the Delirium mirror, and then run the map. It's impossible. So like it will take you 3 times to run the maps. So I think the price will just stay balanced, even though it's kind of high. Like the Veiled Chaos, like the new Eldritch Chaos Orb, like 12C. The exalts are like 5.
The Eldritch Chaos are 20C now.
They're
more
20.
expensive.
Yesterday they were 13, 12.
I don't know. I tried
I
to buy
sold a
some.
lot of them. Okay, maybe they went up today. I didn't know.
I don't know. They're pretty expensive from what I remember, but maybe they've come back down. I'm not sure. They definitely are pretty available though, aren't they? They do drop quite often off of the boss when you get those Eldritch altars.
Yep.
Now, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about though is the actual spawning of the Eldritch monsters. So obviously we're all taking the pack size notes here, right? I'm pretty sure everyone's got them.
Yep.
Do you guys think there might be some form of strategy where a bigger map, like for example, like an Underground Sea, would have more influence modifiers or monsters in them and spawn more altars? Because all the altars kind of multiply together. Like if you get like 3% scarab and then another 3 and then duplicates, it's like actually ridiculous. You walk out with like 100 scarabs.
That's crazy.
Do you guys think there's like maybe a new meta which we haven't even discovered yet, where it's like, okay, this map just has way more altars than all the other maps?
It can be.
Not many people have actually tested like altar density or like how many altars. And what I've noticed as well is I'm not sure if it's like dynamic or whatever, but it sort of feels like just some maps have less, or like the more juice you put in your map, the less altars you get. I'm pretty sure it's almost like a soft lock.
Like a balance.
Yeah, like if you're doing like juice the deli, you will get like nowhere near as many altars as if you're doing like just all can go or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's specifically Delirium that actually does it for me. Whenever I have Deli in my map, I get like 2 or 3 altars. Without Delirium, I get like 8+. Yeah.
Is there any other influences that we can think about? Like maybe people are farming like Conquer influence?
As in like, for like money.
Yeah, as in like because I know people are farming Delhi Conquer influence. Oh, but like you can't put the boys on Conquer maps anyways, can you?
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's a bad example. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I do actually have one other question for you guys about these Eldritch altars. So I personally, when I'm doing them, I actually take like a good few seconds to kind of make my decision which one I want to go with. Whether it be like map duplication, currency duplication, or percentage or something like that. And I think that actually makes a really big difference in the long run because of how these things multiply together. If you take percent chance to get Eldritch currency, like 2% or 1% or something like that, and then you take all of the currency duplication ones, it'll actually duplicate the Eldritch currency you're already dropping, for example. Do you guys take a second to kind of look at it, or are you just like YOLO? bang, 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 bang. You just click whatever.
Okay, so I usually look for Scarab first, Eldritch second, and then quantity and maps. I look for those 4. If I don't read any of those 4, I click random because it's like not worth the time. If you get like uniques or gems, it's like whatever. But if I get like uniques and gem and I actually manage to read uniques, I click uniques instead of gems. But it doesn't matter too much. I just look for those 4, and if I see those 4, I just click. But other than that, I just kind of blast. Sometimes I misclick and I feel bad. You're like clicking and you're like get shoutwalked, and while you're clicking, you misclick and you feel so bad.
I mean, I often feel like it's not worth sitting there and be like, and then like nitpicking, or like, you know, it's like, yeah, you look, and if you click the wrong one, whatever, you move on. But I definitely try to look for synergies, and I find myself doing this a lot, which I don't know if you guys are having this as well, but like sometimes you find like duplicate scarabs before you find monsters have a chance to drop scarabs, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna take the duplicate scarab because I know
just in case
I'm gonna get one later, right? I'm gonna get it. So, but then you don't get it, but it's fine. Like either way, it's like, because when you do get it, then it's like super sick, right?
Yeah. I think on average it's worth it to like get like the good nodes just in case you like after you get it. Sometimes you get the percent scarab on the last pack and it feels terrible. When you get like the perfect one at the last, when you have duplication beforehand, and you're like, I did the whole map. If I just passed this way instead, I would have just got like 100 scarabs instead.
I agree.
It feels terrible.
Yeah, I think the altars actually do spawn on a mob by mob basis, though. It's kind of like a beyond portal how it works. It's like a 0.1% or something like that on a mob kill. Because I don't know if you guys have ever had it where you like walk into like a dead end in your map and you kill an Eldritch pack and it's like boom, 4 altars off 1 pack. It's like whoa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3.
It's definitely mob by mob.
Yeah. I wonder if like map like width or size has something to do with the way that they spawn as well.
Not sure. I think there's definitely quite a few theories going around, but no one's actually tested this stuff yet. No one's done the science, so that's pretty exciting. I'm definitely curious to see if we can figure anything out with the Eldritch side of things. But let's talk Atlas strategies, because obviously we've got the new uniques, we've got the builds, we've got the crafting, but the biggest selling point of the expansion was, of course, the new Atlas passive tree. Now, I think it's been interesting though, because pre-expansion, when this thing got revealed, everyone was like, yo, okay, there's no right path. You know, no one's going to be able to tell you like what's good or what's not, just play your own league. But in reality, people seem to have been settling into a few different, like kind of almost like, you know, base trees, which kind of look fairly similar. You know, for example, maybe they all take, you know, the pack size on Eldritch and Eater, and okay, Harbinger's right next to that, and, you know, all right, the Strongbox is the essence of they're all pretty good. And, you know, what do you guys think? Is that kind of like a meta tree kind of going around here in order, like, you know, kind of based around the base?
I think it all depends on the amount of investment that you put into your maps. If you're doing like really fast maps with low investment, it's almost impossible not to go for essences, one shrine, box, the secret operation for the box that drops scarabs. And yeah, pretty much the basics are like box, RB, essence, and one shrine at least. And then you kind of spec into whatever you want. But if you do like a more like specific like end game strategy where you actually invest in your map, it's probably worth it going for more effect on the top of the tree, quantity, and just going for like really specific league mechanics, especially if you're buying sextants. For example, let's say you buy the Tsayula sextant, right? That always gives you Tsayulas in your map. And then you just get a lot of breaches with like the breach sextant and also like the gilded div scarab, and also you get the points for dropping breach stones and stuff like that, all the breach nodes. It can like be really specific for like how you want to build. And I think like on high investment, the meta kind of changes a little bit. It's not like you don't have to take all the initial nodes that give you the most amount of money on a budget. You can just change it and make like a really stretched tree for like the really good nodes that you really want. But on a budget, I think you're kind of forced into the really high value essence boxes, RB, just to give you like the baseline juice on every map. I think on a budget, you are kind of forced into the linear tree that everyone's doing.
What do you reckon, Tuna?
I mean, I really don't think like there's really like it changes so much from what you're doing. Like, and this is why I think it's super interesting to have like maybe a little bit of a community effort into having people sort of show you their tree and trying to learn from that. I do agree with Ellie. There's some things that are obvious. Like, for example, I'm farming something very similar to something a friend of mine is farming. So like that's Delirium, and then using Quant and getting like Divine Orbs as well as Delirium Mirror stuff or whatever. He's not doing Delirium Mirror per se, but you know, it's like pretty much the same strategy. And when he is doing Delirium Mirror, you know, it's like those nodes are pretty much the same. But either way, like I saw his tree and it's pretty much the same, right? We go for the top triangle to get all the effective modifiers, so we can spawn more Beyonds. Except the only difference is like maybe he didn't take Abyss because he wants his maps to go faster or whatever, right? But there's some things that are really interesting, like there's people that want to farm like the sextant that says bosses drop conquer maps or whatever, right? So what they do is like their tree is literally just chance to duplicate maps, and they take only the small nodes, like the whole thing, right? Which is pretty cool. Like the amount of flexibility you can have, the amount of farming strategies that you can do with this passive. I think it's very unexplored, and it's something that like I'm looking forward to maybe having like an archive of trees that people then like explain a little bit about, or like this is for that or that is for this. And surely now we're gonna get a lot of tinfoil hat theories of people hiding specific strats or whatever, but I think it would be nice to sort of get a community effort to try to figure this out, and I'm really looking forward to trying to, you know, discover more farming strategies and stuff. So
yeah, no doubt. I think you know, we've already been talking about it. There's a few obvious ones, like, you know, Essence, Strombox, and all sorts of stuff like that. And those are kind of the ones people are really like, you know, pushing right now, and there's a lot of content out on them. But a lot of the kind of, you know, more niche stuff, as you were kind of alluding to, Tuna, is kind of really no one's been doing it. No one's really tried it, or it's not public. Like, you know, ritual, you know, map duplication, you know, bestiary, alva. Like, I mean, I haven't really seen any videos on any of these. And some of the prices on some of these materials are absolutely absurd. Like, you know, alva temples for the Loriani's Institute, which is just a gem one. It's like 70 chaos just for that. Yeah. You know, that's not even the double corruption chamber. And if you guys are wanting your omniscience with some attributes on it, well, you know where that's coming from, the double corruption chamber.
The double corruption costs 45-50C. I bought some yesterday from Omniscience.
Okay, well, I mean, that's still pretty good currency overall, right? And with all the alt quality gem stuff going on, you know, there's money to be made. And like that just, you know, opens up the door for a lot of experimentation, because the nodes on the tree right now are not the same as the nodes we had before in the Atlas passive. There's a few similar ones, but there is also a bunch of new ones. But I think the thing that really changes the game is the new sextant modifiers. Like, there are some absolute game changers on there. It's pretty crazy. Have you guys used any of the new sextant mods? And if so, which ones, and were they broken?
I haven't really used a lot of them. I've been selling the harvest ones for a lot of money. And
really? The colored ones, or just the
harvest 4 times? You get Sacred Growth 4 times.
Oh, right.
The start of the league was 1x, now it's like 0.7, I think.
They're not new.
Every time I get that, I sell it because I'm not doing harvest. But I think if you combo that with the other one that gives you more likely of good plots, there's like one that gives you craft more likely, like lucky crafts more likely, something like that.
Is that a sextant
I think
mod?
that can be crazy. I think harvest is like it's a sextant mod, and also you can combo it with a tree. I think harvest can be kind of crazy if you combo everything together really well. Like if you just put double sextant plus everything on the Atlas tree, I think it can be really good.
There's so much good stuff that I'm thinking of, like, how good is that? Like, you know, I'm asking myself, which is like so cool. I really like that. There's also like another one for Expedition, which gives you 100% more runics, for example.
True.
Have you tried that? I haven't tried it.
I tried it in like a couple maps. It's ridiculous. It's like, imagine you go like winged or something. It's just your whole screen of just runics, like.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you actually pay attention to the remnants, right, and you get all those modifiers which give you more logbooks, are you just gonna drop like 5 or 6 logbooks in one map?
I mean, I've had 5 without the sextant this league.
Okay.
Yeah, drop 4 max. But yeah,
That's
to
pretty
going back
crazy.
Going back to the harvest one, I actually have it in game. I'm gonna read you the wording. It says plants harvested in areas are more likely to give you less common crafting options, and usually more likely is 10 times, right? If we go by
Right.
the wording of crafts and stuff like that. So 10, usually we don't know, but usually more likely is 10 times, right?
Yeah. I just
That's
thought
what
to
we know
myself,
from if we base it on everything else.
but if we base it on how many harvests did you run over the past 3 leagues and how many augments you got, 10 is nothing.
10 times more than 0 is 0.
I don't know. Okay, so when Bestiary first came out with the Atlas passives, I remember running Bestiary and testing it out, and you would go from getting like 2 Spirit Beasts to like 20 in 100 maps. It was ridiculous. It was like, oh my god, I'm getting one every other map, or sometimes multiple a map, from like getting 1 or 2 in 100 maps. So it's actually like, Ellie could be onto something here. I think it could be potentially pretty crazy, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Someone needs to test that though.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm saying like these things are cool, because you ask yourself like, is this good? You know, and that's good. It's healthy.
There's another really good sextant that I got, and I have it in my sextant tab. 100% chance to copy a beast captured in areas.
That's crazy.
So you basically just double every red beast that you pick, and the yellow beast.
Yeah.
And the yellow beasts are for money, boys. You can just sell them to people crafting.
I think Bestiary, I've been eyeing that one off. You guys just asked Tuna. I've been talking about it a little bit. I've been eyeing it off. I think it's completely insane, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. There's definitely a bit to think about though, because as I mentioned, a lot of the nodes on the tree are not what they used to be, or they're like a combination or a mashup or a remix of the old ones, which were deleted and now they've come back. So, like Bestiary, for example, you have Great Migration, which is like you get all the beasts in once, and then you have like all the duplicate stuff. You can change the families, and then you can make them all lucky, and then you have the sextant, and it's like even more stuff than that on the tree. It's completely absurd. And then the most absurd thing is, not with Bestiary specifically, but then the altars can also multiply all these things with their effects as well. So I think that there is a lot of massively untapped potential out there, which is not being realized right now. I actually don't even know what it is, but I think just testing a lot of these things, thinking about it, it's like, whoa, okay. Like,
also,
good example of...
No,
I was just going to say, let me, one more thing. A good example of this is blighted maps get duplicated by the altars. Like, that's just one thing which is broken. So if you have the Gilded Scarab, nodes on the tree, and you duplicate a blighted map once, then you can duplicate it again using the altars and get 4 blighted maps from 1 blighted map drop. It's like, what? But
yeah, that's great.
I don't know, that's just an example. But yeah, go ahead, Ellie, sorry.
On Beast, you can also use Gilded Div Scarabs. Sorry, Gilded Breed. Sorry, no, my bad. On Beast, you can use the Gilded, what's the name? Bestiary Scarab, sorry. They give you like guaranteed red beasts. And also you can use Chrysic Lures too. To like guaranteed, right? Which are...
The lures,
they still exist in the game, right? You can get them from Harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lures are crazy. I remember you doing a test a few leagues ago. And lures were kind of crazy, right? You did that. Maybe you know more about this.
So lures are very, very good. I think that they're particularly good because you literally get 100% more value when you use the sextant with them, which is obviously insane, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing though, which I'm most interested about Bestiary, is because you can have like multiple people. It's kind of like a group farming thing. You can do like rotors, but yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other topic altogether. There's like so many things which you can do. But yeah, you're right. Lures are completely insane, Ellie. For sure. But then at the same time, Gilded Bestiary are 2C each. 2C for a Gilded Bestiary. Yep. Like, what? And you can buy them in bulk. So yeah,
I've been using them to reroll into other scarabs with the scarab recipe. So you do 2 scarab plus 1 horizon, and you just get a random scarab back. And they can be like Gilded Expedition or Gilded... what are the good ones? Yeah, Expedition or Boxes is also good. It's like 10C, 15C or something.
Harbinger is also good.
Harbinger is also good, yeah. You can basically just reroll the really cheap ones, yeah.
Abyss is okay. Yeah, a lot of the guild ones are worth money, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bestiary is being slept on. I'm keeping all my Bestiary scarabs.
And missions. I suppose scarabs a lot better, right? Yeah,
definitely.
One thing I think you need to be careful of when you're farming Bestiary is you might have to be like very mindful of what beast you're capturing, because when you're doubling your red beasts, you're gonna you're gonna fill up your menagerie in like half an hour, like actually.
Yep.
And then if you don't like check it, it means you're gonna be crafting like 200 unique ring recipes.
Yeah, well,
You can
thing
seal it though.
Yeah, you can seal it and destroy it, but that's like a lot of money that you're wasting. So it's kind of like they really need to add a way to release beasts. I think that's the main thing that they add.
Dude, you know
But,
what
yeah.
we should have? Like, you know, like we have like you can actually go in their cages, right? You should be able to go in front of the cage and just click release, and you just open the cage of the one type of mobs, and they're just all gone, dude.
Yeah,
They should just give us, so at least that the whole instance has a use, right?
Yeah.
There's no point just going in the new, like in the bestiary instance, looking at your beasts. It's kind of useless. But you can just click release and just let them go.
That'd be good. That would be good. All right. So I guess we've obviously had a big discussion here about everything. But overall, what are you guys thinking about your next farming strategy? Like, what's next on the cards? So, just to kind of sum it up, so right now I'm doing kind of like Alk and Go, kind of weird stuff with strong boxes. That's what I did last. Ellie's doing cemeteries with like medium juice, Legion Breach, and farming from div cards. And Tuna is the big juicer here with his deli mirrors on Strand. What's the next strategy you guys have planned in the works? So for me, I'm planning on testing out Ritual. That's the thing I want to try out next with the Sextant and all the nodes on the tree. What about you guys?
I want to do rarity stuff, probably. Just mess around with solo rarity.
MFing?
Without really MF, I think there's like some cool new tech that I want to try with
with the sextant, quantity applies to rarity.
I think the shrine is gonna be probably something, but yeah, I'll go like quantity applies to rarity, and then I'll probably run like, I'm not exactly sure yet what sextants I'm gonna be running, but I want to try it, because even though it's not gonna be good, I'll still run it. And see what's up. I never dropped like a solo mage blood, so.
Pretty damn good. And then you can duplicate the mage blood with your altar.
Imagine, because like this thing, you don't have to actually put MF gear on your character to MF. I don't know if you realize.
I mean, the shrine is not bad. You can, once you have it, you can basically have it last the whole map. I was running them a little bit there for a while. It's okay, but I don't know if it's really what you're looking for in terms of the big rarity. But,
yeah, no. It's probably just like running like old Zana mod rarity stuff from the shop, giving you quantity applies to rarity.
Do you not think that maybe there's something there with possessed exiles, because they have like, when they're possessed, they have a ton of rarity.
True.
That could be big, yeah. That could be very big, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just throwing out an idea there, but yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that's pretty interesting. What about you, Ellie?
Okay, yesterday people came in my chat telling me about strats, so I thought about it a bit, and there is a lot of pack size in the tree. If you do Fortune Favors the Brave, you can get like 10 pack size. If you're running Conqueror maps, you can get 20, and then there's like pack size somewhere else. I don't remember where, but you can stack so much pack size that the maps kind of become really dense, and you drop so much stuff. So probably some Conqueror map farming like people have been doing. It looks really good. Or something like I said before, like you stack the Bridge sextants and you just go for full Sayula maps. What other stuff that I wanted to try, just normal deli, because I don't usually do a lot of deli. I usually just put one orb, or I don't usually do deli mirrors. I kind of want to try deli mirrors because I haven't done them in like 3-4 leagues. I don't really do them. And this league, like my build is like on Scuffed Gear is already really strong. If I fix like 2 items, my build is gonna be like face rolling, deli mirrors, like even at the end of the map, pretty much. If I get a Fizzbow, I'll probably just steamroll over the like in any content. I can probably do 100% deli soon if I fix a little bit on my gear.
I don't even think the 20% pack size is that good.
It's not 20 though. It's like 40.
Yeah, but I mean, you get 40% pack size to influence monsters already.
Yeah, every map. That's what I was gonna say.
And then like, remember how I was running Fortune that Favors the Brave at the start of the league? And I was like, this is really good. Like, what's new?
no, but like you can hard roll beyond on your map, right? And then you beyond sextant, and then you get like 20% pack size on top plus the pack size of the.
Yeah, I know it's to everything. I know it's good. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I don't disagree.
I think what people need to do is we need to see more actual like solid runs, because people can like do like X maps and be like, whoa, I got, blah 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 blah, insert drops here. But until someone actually does like 50 of them, it's pretty difficult to say of how good something actually really is. Unless it's clean cut. So like, for example, what Tuna's doing. He's doing Delirium. He gets 300 splinters every time. Okay, that's pretty easy maths, right? But when it's stuff like where it's like, okay, how many brother stashes did you get? I really do feel like you need to know, kind of like how many maps you've done and, how often it is. Because I think you were saying just before we started Blastcast that your friend Donkey, he was running, like a ton of cemetery maps, and he got like 2 brother stashes in the first 10, and then he got like none in the rest, or something like that.
I mean, it happens. So, you get the you go in and you run like 4 maps and you get 2 brother stashes and you're like, holy shit, like this is amazing. And then you don't get anything for like 20. It's normal. It's just like I remember one league I ran my first burial chambers. I got a doctor and I was like, what? Excuse me? And then I ran like 200, 300 and I didn't get one. It's like, like you can't like really rely on stats for like rare drop rates like that, in my opinion.
I think you can get a better idea of it the more you do.
I mean, definitely, yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad strat. It's just such high entry cost that if you do have a string of bad luck, you're not like, it's kind of like a very like gambler's addiction type strategy, in my opinion. But you will profit in the long term. I'm not saying you won't.
Well, I mean, the serious maps are pretty expensive. I actually don't know how profitable it is, but it definitely does sound quite expensive as a buy-in from my perspective. And I wouldn't want to buy all those maps. And I believe it needs to be specifically on Cemetery. I'm not even entirely sure how you get Conquerors only on Cemetery. Is it like, does it respect your favorites or something like that?
What tier Cemetery can you Horizon?
Oh, it does. Okay. Wow.
If you use the Carto Scarabs, if you use the Carto Orbs, what was the name? The Carto Dali Orbs, you can almost self-sustain. People have been telling me.
Makes sense.
Pretty good. Yeah, well, okay. So that's what you're looking into doing, Ellie? The Conqueror Carto
Maybe.
Dali.
There's a lot of things that I want to try. For now, I'm just farming this because it's like so easy and like low effort. I don't have to trade a lot. When I'm gonna like have full gear and I don't really need to like craft and spend my money in my gear, I'm just gonna save up money and like invest into higher higher investment strategies. Because right now, like every piece of my gear costs like 100x. I can't afford to like spend a lot of money into strategies, even though it is gonna pay off in the long run. But I can't be bothered just trading that much for now.
Yeah, I think in terms of like Atlas strats, build strats, and even crafting, we're kind of only just at the very start. People are only just starting to really understand all these new systems. So I think there's a lot left to uncover. Like, people are just starting to get into Omniscience. People are just starting to get into Ashes of the Stars. We're just starting to uncover some of the new Atlas strats, which are good. Like this Conquer attack is like, I've only been hearing this in like the past few days even. And overall, I think that's really super awesome. It means they've done a very, very good job with the league. And in general, like even in this podcast, like you mentioning that harvest thing, I've never heard anyone mention that before you mentioned to me here. Like that's crazy that that's actually something, completely unheard of, to me at least. Just here. So I think overall, for me, right now, about 1.5 weeks in, it's probably the best 1.5 weeks I've had playing Path of Exile in a very long time.
True.
I'm addicted. I love this game.